audio, I believe it should be good, but let me know if you're hearing the conversation coming through the stream. Because if I pump it into here, it's just going to give me feedback. And that's, how's everything going on Facebook, please? All the tables and stuff still there, or are you planning to
Everything's
shut that
still
out?
here, but I've already taken down the DM curtain just to get it out of the way, and some of the lights are still because of the work.
Yeah. And you're not, you're not hearing this conversation.
I'm not seeing anything showing. No, nothing.
Alright, very good.
Hopefully nothing.
There should be one, because I just logged in.
I don't hear any music either. Hold on one second, I gotta log myself in.
Test 1, test 2, test 3. Hey everybody, welcome to another Games Tavern Happy Hour. I'm Mac and I'm joined by Reed today. If you've been watching some of our other programs, he's in a few of them, I think. So Reed, why don't you go ahead and tell the fair people out there what it is that you do. Introduce yourself in case they don't watch our lesser programs and they only come here for Happy Hour.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Reed Denton. I guess my biggest role is I produce a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, but I think the thing I do on screen the most is I'm the dungeon master for Whiskey, Magic, and Destruction. And then I also paint on that minis paint show, and occasionally I show up in other things as requested.
So one of the big things, and one of the reasons I'm really happy to have you on here today, Reed, is you are a master at multitasking and a prime candidate for hitting hobby fatigue. So we'll
The prime candidate. Huh?
yeah, you do a lot of stuff. But before we
Yeah.
get into all that and get to the meat and potatoes of what we have for today, what have you been up to this week? You get any good hobby stuff going on?
Yeah, quite a bit. I've been, doing the campaign planning for WMD for sure. A lot going on with that. I'm
Yeah,
putting together a
it's
lot
getting
of the.
exciting.
Yeah, and it's been pretty cool. Putting the various encounters together and spoon feeding out the story to you guys as characters as well. I've been coming up with some new maps. I've been testing out some new software to see how that's going to work for map development.
Yeah, you were
But I
talking
won't.
about that. I think in the Discord earlier. I'm excited
Yeah,
to see how that's going to all play out. That's very interesting stuff.
yeah. Some of the testing's been quite exciting. We're seeing how quickly it can help me rapidly iterate. It's got to add value if I'm going to do it.
Yeah, of course.
Been watching some the Velkin Weave as part of my hobby as well. So been checking out what they've been doing on that show. Been setting up a minis painting schedule to kind of get a better handle on my own minis painting for the show as well as for me as
Yeah,
well, because there's quite a bit of painting there. That's one of those things that as long as I have miniatures to paint, I'll never die.
yeah. That's
So
I'm
they say.
in the same boat. I'm hesitant to tackle my mountain of gray because if I
Yeah,
do, then what am I alive for anymore?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the
What
personally,
what have you been hobbying on?
well, most of my hobbies, you've been there for most of it. There's Whiskey Magic and Destruction on Thursdays that you're running.
Yeah,
On Saturday for the past few weeks, we've been doing the Tomb of Horrors, where I've been running that, and you've been,
I
slogging
got
it
to
through.
play for a
Yeah,
change.
that's exciting.
That's
And we have another one actually coming up this weekend. Hopefully, it's going to be the last one, but
the
who
triple
knows?
shot.
Yeah, triple shot of the double shot, one shot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been getting a little bit of painting in myself also, and most of my other hobby stuff has actually just been focusing on planning additional content. Whether it's I finally convinced my girlfriend to let me throw dice at her, so we're going to be running through Lost Mine of Fandelver. So I'm going to be digging around trying to find some people to jump in on that one.
Are you doing that on the Discord?
Oh yeah, we'll probably run it on the Discord. I'm not confident we'll put it on the stream though, because she's never played before, and that doesn't seem great. But you can we'll let people know how it goes. And then I've also been continuing on my project of writing some new one-shot dungeons and other things to do when I'm bored and want to punish some players. So
You're such a hateful deviant.
so on to today's main topic, what it is that we're actually trying to cover today. We're going to be looking at the all too common practice of hobby fatigue. It goes by a couple different names. It can be called hobby fatigue. Getting burnt out is probably the most common one that spans across anything. But it's just the idea of losing motivation. You've been slogging at your hobby for a really long time here. You're putting a lot of effort into it, and you sort of fall off the wagon. So we're hoping to be able to actually show some of the ways that you can prepare before you reach that point to help you to hopefully have a healthy hobby. It's important to make sure that you prep it properly. And then once you do finally fall off and you've lost motivation, you're having problems getting yourself painting or writing or playing even. What are some tips to try and get you going on that one? So I'm excited to hear what Reed has to say on this. We've been talking about it a lot. We've been putting a lot of time into the Games Tavern, so I think this is going to be an aptly timed discussion. So
Well,
one of the big things that I've found for actually getting your hobby done, and it's whether I do a lot of miniature wargaming is kind of my grassroots, my pedigree on how I grew up in the hobby. So I foolishly like playing very very large armies. I like orcs. I like Imperial Militia. I like Imperial Guard. I like the barbarians fighting the Romans. I have a lot of models. The way that
We love you some grim dark.
yeah, well, even in other stuff, for like other historicals, I play. It's like, ooh, I'm Celts. Yeah, we'll go with those. Oh, there's 400 of them on the table. Can I just play with the
For
Testudo over
Saga,
there?
what are you doing this in?
Oh gosh, what was this? This was oh, it was Warlords thing.
Oh, Warlord.
Uh, not Black Powder, but the one before that, before Pike and Shot.
Pike and Shot.
No, not Pike and Shot. The Warlords Ancients, I think. Hail
Okay.
Caesar. There we go. Hail
Hail
Caesar.
Caesar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
So I had a Celt army I had to bang out for that, but yeah, and I hate painting, so it's a joy. Uh, but one of the biggest tricks I've found on that is actually cutting it down into manageable chunks. I'm not painting an army of whatever it is. I'm not painting an army of Space Orcs. I'm painting a squad of Space Orcs. I'm painting 5 Space Orcs. I need to make that one guy look nice. Cutting it down into chunks that I can say, this is an achievable goal. I'm more focused on this. All right, take that, put it over there. Spend a night working on 5 or 6 orcs. I'm done. Move them to the side. Then tomorrow night I work on 5 or 6 more. Put them aside. And at the end of whatever my standard hobby month or week is, I look over and my collection's actually grown quite a bit. And I have a lot of works over there. For writing and other kinds of playing. Oh, I want to play all these games. I can't play 40, 50 different types of for games in a week. So it's important to kind of pace yourself and say, hey, I want to try this game or that game. But what are you thinking on that one, Reed? Is being able to manage your expectations, I guess, not biting off more than you can chew?
Well, I can say that you've got it right there when you talk about managing it into chunks, and I like to use the terms "chunk it down" when I talk about things like that. So chunking it down is huge. Be it an army where I'm painting a squad or a hero. You know, I figure out, here's the color scheme across the army. Here's some colors that need to show up on every unit, but then this is that unit. This is that squad. Because if you're doing 25 def copters, it's kind of hard to get them all done in a go, especially with all the gubbins. And stuff.
Yeah.
Same thing with I have for Dungeons and Dragons stuff, for example, or fantasy stuff. I've got a lot of orcs, a lot of dwarves, a lot of goblins, stuff like that. I tend to also take my Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, especially when I have large, copious amounts of them for certain races. You tend to actually have large, and I chunk them down as well. And then some of the other things, venture writing, campaign planning, you can't write everything.
No.
And frankly, most of the stuff you write isn't going to matter anyway. So focus on, things that, general scenes and stuff like that, and then plug them in or figure out an order that they might happen. And then you have them available if they have to go in a different order and it works, or you realize that you're going to throw away about a third to half the way.
Yeah, that's when writing encounters or writing a campaign or even just preparing for Tomb of Horrors that's pre-written. There's still a lot of back work that needs to get done in there. As opposed to saying, all right, I need to sit down right now and figure out how to make Tomb of Horrors work from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do that. I don't do it that way. I go, okay, if they're starting, they're probably going to get through in 3 or 4 hours to these rooms, and I'm more generous because you guys are slow. But I'm more generous. I tend to plan further than they would actually go and be like, all right, for tonight's session, I think they're going to get this far. So these are the things that I have prepped, and I'll read ahead enough so I know what happens if they go there. But if they go beyond my boundary, I'm not going to be completely flying by the seat of my pants, but I at least have some idea. But I purposefully try and gate off what it is that I'm working on so I don't have the daunting task of writing an entire campaign adventure sitting on my desk.
Absolutely. It's just one of those things. You got a question from the audience on?
Yeah, that's Dire Rabbits asking us how do you motivate yourself to do crafty, creative things after an exhausting day, week, month of work? Asking for a friend. Well, your hypothetical friend. That actually does time pretty well into some of the other stuff that we're about to lead into, I think. My trick on that is have a dedicated time. I don't want to say hobbying is like work because it's not. It's something we all do for fun and hobby time. But getting into a pattern, getting into a repetition, no, I'm going to be setting up 2 hours on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays to dedicate time to paint or write or whatever it is I'm doing. Set it up. All right, I'm here from 7 to 9. I'm working on it. If I get something done in that time, I get something done. If I don't, and this ties back into the small manageable chunks from before, chunking it down, if I don't fit something in that time, I'm not going to beat myself up about it because I had a bad shift. Everybody has a bad day. If it's not the most productive thing I want, all right, well, it didn't happen. I'll come back to it tomorrow. How do you address that one, Reed?
Um, well, I think ritual is a good way to do it. I mean, and when I say ritual, I don't mean casting an incantation in 10 minutes in Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, it works twofold when you have a schedule. I mean, like part of our streaming things dictates our schedule for some of the stuff that we do.
Yeah,
But that schedule works and people show up on time because it is scheduled. It's a normal thing that we do as a habit. So one, it's a good habit. Two, it also protects it when other people know that that's your special time for whatever that is. Because it also means that you can focus on that with less distractions. That means when you're not doing your hobby, you can also focus on everything else that you're doing as well and not worry about the hobby because you were able to put that quality time in, which I think
yeah.
is huge in anything you do. Um, I think that the other thing about getting into it when you've had a long, exhausting day is we can talk about some of the stuff later on, just being healthy decisions in life that can help stay focused and energetic when you're tired too.
Well,
We'll get to that later.
a big thing on that is actually it's worth mentioning if you're not feeling it, and you've been good on it all week. You've gotten a couple hobby sessions in, and you're not feeling it Friday night. It's okay to not. It's okay to skip a session. You don't have to do every single hobby night if you're not up to it. This is our fun time. This is what we do to relax. If you're not feeling it, don't do it. The problem comes there is if you're going to end up not feeling, you have a really long streak of not feeling it, and we're going to address some of the ways that you can try and get yourself out of that sort of that funk in a bit. But that's kind of an important thing to be able to catch yourself, have the self reflection, be like, oh, I haven't written anything in the past 2 weeks. I just always haven't felt it. That's what we're talking about. Trying to avoid that and trying to actually make sure that you can get that going. I guess kind of the boil down point for all of this is humans like habits. Our brain likes patterns, repetition, and how we actually process the world is we like to wake up and go, oh, gravity keeps working. The sun's gonna rise. I know where my food is. Get up. That's why having a morning routine is important before you go to work. It's why having a good warm-up routine before working out is important because it gets your brain into workout mode. If you have a consistent way that I always do this before I work out, you're good to go. It gets you in working out mode.
It
So,
reduces your stress as well.
oh yeah, being able to fall in sort of a rote pattern of what it is that you're doing and not having to think about that, your brain likes not thinking. Uh, but yeah, that does tie into so that's scheduling your week. You have X amount of time. I can schedule that out. Well, right now, every day, all day, and that's a problem. So I'm actually having to parse out my time to do other things. But when I was living in the real world, before I moved down here, I had Mondays and Thursdays were my hobby going out and gaming night, and I had Tuesdays and Fridays were my actual doing the hobby, painting, writing, whatever it was I wanted to do. That's how that broke down, and everybody that I was, everybody in my social circles knew that. So if my girlfriend wanted to say, hey, let's go out, well, we have to do it on a Wednesday, or you have to negotiate for Tuesday, because that's just how this schedule works out. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or however that works. But it's exactly what you were talking about with knowing how, when you have a set schedule, it's a lot easier to say, sorry, I have this going on. That's what I'm doing tonight. Uh, but more than just having a very specific, carving out days of the week that you're going to be doing something, actually having a specific, I'm using the word ritual because this is a Dungeons and Dragons, stream, but it's basically having a habit to get you going. When I start painting, my ritual is I pour myself some coffee or something stronger if it's been a week. I'll listen to some of the fantasy music playlists that I've listened to. Some of them are absolutely silly. Some of them are just Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. Like I run the gamut of there. It's whatever I'm feeling, but it's something sort of fantastic to pump me up to get ready to do this. And then I let that playlist go. And while I'm doing that, I'm gathering my stuff I need to go to my dedicated hobby space and paint or write. Uh, that allows me to, lets me tap into the hack your brain kind of nonsense, where it's like, hey, this is, my brain hears that music, sees me collecting all this stuff, and starts thinking, all right, let's get ready for the hobby. But how are you getting ready for this kind of stuff, Reed? How do you get ready for hobby?
Oh, well, I mean, depending on which part of the hobby we're talking about, which, you and I both do a considerable amount of all kinds of hobby. Um, Definitely music. Never underestimate the power of music to affect either mood or creative muses.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge part of what we do is finding that that music opportunity, especially stuff that pumps you up or gets you in the fantasy mood or the sci-fi mood or the grim dark mood, depending on what you're talking about. Um, in addition to that, I have, my setup rituals. Like when I go to paint, uh, color water, metallics water, not water. You drink this water. Um,
It's mineral spirits, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you don't drink. Yeah. So paint water, not paint water is the idea. Um, and then lights, everything else that goes with that. Um, and then on top of that, when it comes to like writing and stuff like that, I'll grab the books that I think I'm going to need for that. I'll pull up the websites I'm going to need, and while the music's playing, I'm punching through a couple different scenes. I'm making sure that I'm good to go on that, and then I go back and edit all the misspellings and grammatical errors. And
Oh yeah.
if I have to draw up maps, I'll do a quick sketch. Uh, and then the other thing I do is I literally go away from everybody else in some cases, especially when I'm trying to do something where I'm making something new. It's just the way I work. Not everybody's like that. I'm actually, most people believe I'm an extrovert. I'm actually an introvert, um, which is kind of interesting for most people to find out about me. But yeah, when I'm actually doing like the raw, new, creative stuff, there's music in the background, and I'm working by myself, and I'm just in the mood. I mean, it's almost a joke to me when you said at the beginning of the show that I'm like this master multitasker. No, 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 no. I do a lot of tasks one at a time, and I do them in chunks. So I'm the master chunker of chunking it down. So I do a little chunk here, I move on to a different task, I do a little chunk on that task, I do it, and you never know, you never know. But definitely, it's about that quality time, and then good lighting, huge for me.
Yeah, if you're in, if you're in like the candle lit area, it's like, that might be good for atmosphere, but then your brain starts relaxing and you start getting into, not productivity mode. That's just what that does. Uh, but you mentioned going elsewhere, going away from, I know you have a couple people living in your house, uh, at least a wife and some dogs. You have other people there, so you sequester yourself somewhere. Having
Yeah,
dedicated.
I go to the basement command center.
Okay, yeah, that's I've seen it. It's
Yeah, I mean,
so,
5 kids, everything else that goes with that sometimes. So yeah.
yeah. That does tie nicely into the idea of having a dedicated hobby space. There's we're spending a lot of time at home right now, so being able to parse out your enjoyment space, your work space, whether it's hobby or actual work, and your food space, and being able to actually have different chunks, it makes your commute a lot shorter than it normally would be. But being able to say, hey, I only go to this paint station when I'm painting. I put my phone on quiet, I play the music, and I'm only going to hobby at this spot. If hobby doesn't come, don't feel the creative juices going after 15, 20 minutes, I get up and walk away. Because if I sit there and I do something that's not that, I'm bored, so I check Facebook or I send out a couple, hilarious tweets. And I all of a sudden start doing that, this space is no longer hobby space. It makes it just another place in my in my room or my house. I have a couch for that kind of stuff. And much like why they say, if you're having problems sleeping, well, first thing you do is don't check your phone in bed because then your brain starts associating your bed with stuff that isn't sleep, and that is a problem. But that's the most obvious one, but the that your brain works that way with everything. If you go into a space where you only work, your brain goes into work mode when you get into that space. If you go into a space that's mixed use, your brain doesn't know what to do.
It gets confused. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to focus. I think I think that the same rules for a home office versus a home hobby area, and it doesn't have to be a completely separate room. I mean, not everybody has that ability. I mean, I've been to your place. You have like various different spaces that you do at your place, I
Yeah.
know. And then you have some spaces that are definitely not that in your space. I'm lucky in that I have a separate room I can do this in. But before I had that, I just had a little nook in the living room that this was my creative hobby space. And I had when I was in a tiny little place.
Well, it
And
can be
even
that
when I
simple.
was
Yeah.
like, well, and even when I was in my like early 20s in my 700 square foot apartment, where you're living, as closely as you can, check to check, and having to make sure you can pay rent and decide whether you're going to buy paints for your miniatures or that new life giving box of macaroni and cheese. You
Yeah.
know, it. I had a separate little space for my miniatures in my one bedroom apartment, and that I did, and it was separate from everything else. And people would come over and go, "What in the world is going on?" But it was my space, separate, kept everything creative, it
Yeah.
kept everything aesthetic.
Well, that, if you
Um,
can't have a dedicated space like that,
mhm,
I highly recommend still removing distractions. If you have to paint the kitchen table, which a lot of us do,
mhm.
clear it. Don't have the bills. Don't have your phone. Don't have other people sitting around talking to you while you're doing it. Again, unless that's the hobby that works for you. But if you're having problems trying to get motivation, dedicating a space, even just temporarily, to hobby, to where you have your paint station out, you have your paints, your pots, your minis, you have your music playing. Okay, this I'm in the mindset, I'm in the zone right now on that. Dedicate. Don't try to multitask while you're painting or writing or any of that other stuff because your brain won't. We're bad at multitasking as a species. People think that we aren't, but we are. We're absolutely awful at it. Uh,
Ag no like.
you know, it's not our. We're good at lying to ourselves about our quality of multitasking, but overall, we're just not good at it. Uh, you do you don't do. You're basically going to be doing two things half-assed if you're trying to do two things at once, or you're going to be actually flipping back and forth rapidly between them, and neither of them is going to get the need that they need, or the effort. There we go, that they need. So try
Yeah,
and as much as possible clear your space.
yeah. I think that the clutter can be a big distractor, and I'm guilty of that in particular
Yeah,
for
I'm
a
looking over my
number of
space now.
reasons.
I'm like, oh,
There's so many things that you can get done, so you throw them all out. You're like, I'm going to get all these done. You never. Just keep what you need. That can be the toughest thing. Um,
yeah, staying organized. My paint collection is garbage. Not that the collection itself is probably worth more than my place, but the collection, just how I store it, is absolute just garbage. It's shoe boxes and Tupperware and like two or three bespoke paint things. It's not good. So when I'm deciding I'm moving from project to project, it's a whole 2 hours of picking out the right paints and moving it around. Not because I need to know what they are, just because I need to find the damn things.
yeah.
So yeah,
Have you had
there's
challenges, keeping your paints in a one location where you can get to them pretty quickly, or?
kind of. My big problem on that is just I haven't. I moved in a year ago and I still haven't set up a permanent hobby location. So it's all just in the closet and I have to break it out every time that I'm getting ready to do something.
I think we
So
got a future
it's
show discussion how to organize your paint area.
yeah, that's we can definitely do that. Organize your hobby area in general. There's a lot of stuff there, so we won't harp on that too much. But in the mindset of getting ready for for a healthy work pattern, a healthy hobby life, what other tips are you thinking? What else can we get before we get into getting out of the funk?
Um, I think that exercise, sleep, and hydration is huge. Um,
Yeah,
Single-handedly, that's probably one of the biggest ones that will keep the energy level up. Never underestimate the power of getting the right amount of sleep. Now, I'm not going to prescribe any particular person the right amount of sleep. I can definitely work off of far less sleep for a long time than some people can, but that doesn't mean it's great.
yeah,
Um, I think that a lot of people have been discovering in the current situation how great it is to get enough sleep,
Yeah.
and they're liking it, and they're wondering why they haven't been doing this the whole time. So whatever that is, be it 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours of sleep, figure out what that is for you and actually time that in. You'll find that you'll get up, you'll be more creative, you'll do all that stuff. And then the other thing is fitness. Um, it doesn't matter if you live in an apartment. It doesn't matter if you live in a dense urban environment. It doesn't matter if you're in a country setting. You can go outside and run uh, by yourself as far as you can, or do cardio in your house or whatever.
Yeah,
But
just
just
something to get
doing
the blood
something that
pumping.
gets the blood pumping and seriously, help you break a sweat, which then goes right into the last one, which is hydration. There's so many people who think they're hungry when it's really their body telling them to drink water. Um,
Yeah.
and if you actually, once you discover, being hydrated and the difference that that makes in your productivity, your energy levels, as well as your personal satisfaction and your mood,
You just
I,
feel
I
better.
think
Yeah.
you'll be very surprised at the benefits of that.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
reason why when I'm running the Tomb of Horrors or I'm DMing, I'm drinking a stein of water. It just keeps me going. It's something I don't have to worry about. Right now, I'm not doing that because it's happy hour. But yeah, when I'm trying to be creative, I actually tend to just focus on water. It keeps you going. It's important. Like I see Dire Rabbit there is actually saying, wine does wonders also. It does. I tend to try and save the adult beverages for when I'm playing, uh, for a couple of different reasons. It actually helps to it lowers inhibitions, so your creativity for acting can come out. There's a couple of things there,
there's
and
a reason a
generally,
lot of bad decisions get made by Edgar.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, those I make those decisions when sober too, so that's
Hmm.
nothing there. But when I'm actually trying to work on my hobby stuff, it's coffee, it's water, it's making sure things that are going to inspire creativity. Because alcohol is a depressant. That's what it is. It depresses your neural activity basically. Whereas caffeine is a stimulant. It does get you going. It gets you, aha, this is going to be great. We're going to have a thing going here. Uh, Historical note here. That's why the Enlightenment happened when coffee houses became popular because we stopped hanging out and having important conversations in pubs. We went and started having them in places where you can get an espresso. That
And be wired so you have to talk a lot faster.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So
Right.
that there's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, Kick Up High does get made fun of a lot. I happen to know this for carrying around water bottles. It's big, it's clunky, it's ridiculous.
You keep being awesome, kick up high. You don't let anybody take that away from you. Um, Adding to that, I think sometimes, of course, on the same vein of avoiding burnout before having to recover from it, I think avoiding it is the easier thing. I
Absolutely.
think I think you and I had different words, but we said the same kind of thing when we talked about the pre-show discussion is take a break. It's like a vacation, but in a different direction.
Yeah.
If you have more than one outlet, and you probably should, regardless if you have the hobby as well and you're a diehard hobbyist, I'm sure you have other things that you enjoy doing as well. If it's working on cars, painting on canvas, going on hikes, just plain being social with your friends at the pub or wherever it is that you go. Uh, those are things that you should also like take a week off and go do those hikes that weekend or
Yep.
whatever it is. Go get out. Um, and then reading. The old adage is readers are leaders. Not to be a motivational poster or anything like
I
that,
mean,
but
I'm motivated
reading
now.
is reading is what I know, man. I can see it. That grim determination on your face, everything that goes with it. But it's probably one of the greatest getaways you can follow if you're big on reading. It's a great way to find inspiration. And then there's a great procrastination isn't always bad necessarily. There's a great TED talk on the benefits of procrastination, um, and how that can actually reinvigorate creativity or actually give you that creative bonus on stuff. Obviously work within the confines of what you got to do. If you're
Yeah.
playing a Dungeons and Dragons game, we just talked about having a regular schedule. So procrastinating on some things is okay. Ruining the game for everyone else, not so much by not showing up or not being ready. But
Well, on
hey,
the if you're going to procrastinate, and that does tie
mhm,
into the previously, I'm not feeling this today. Uh,
mhm.
it is important to be self-reflective on this. to be able to pull back and have sort of the feedback loop of, all right, I did this, whether it's every week, every month, every day, whatever worked for you. I cannot recommend enough sitting back, being critical of yourself, of your behavior, what you've done, and trying to get into your own head effectively. Uh, you don't have to be sitting there like, why was I a jerk to this person? Why was I, why did I do this? Why did I do that? It's like, no, just did I achieve the goals I was looking for? If not, why not? Getting into that rigorous, that literally the two questions I try and ask myself every day is did I achieve what I was trying to do today or yesterday? If not, what got in my way? And a lot of that
He
is
he's
myself.
secretly asking himself, "Did I make the world a better place today?"
Uh, it's more like, did I actively not make it worse? Like that's my goal. Uh,
Absolutely.
but having that feedback loop has, especially when everybody's routines have been shattered recently, having that feedback loop where I had a goal, did I achieve it? Yes, no. If not, why did that not work out? And try and figure that out. If I have a week or two of, no, I didn't achieve my hobby goals last week. No, I didn't achieve my hobby goals today. It's pump the brakes. All right, what's going on? What can I do to get out of this? And we'll get into that in a bit. But being self-reflexive is huge in the hobby and in just general life. And I can't recommend that enough.
Yeah. Um, I just recommend wine. No. I I can say that it's been fairly interesting with the changes in terms of that of figuring out at some point, hey, I need a new routine.
Yep.
And also, you were talking about being introspective about what you do, and I think one of the benefits that, and I'll just mention that we have because we stream, is I do go back and watch the various shows, mine, the other people's. That
We can
is just
rewatch
part of what I
this.
do. Yeah, video on demand actually is in existence, and then
Huh.
eventually everything's getting loaded up to YouTube as well. Thanks to our volunteers who've been helping us put together some of that editing, by the way.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Um,
Thanks, guys.
and no, but I mean, I watch it not because I want to really see myself, um, but I am critical, and I look at my mannerisms. I think you guys used to, as a joke, and also to help me out with some things, gave me a "and with that" counter because I used to have that. I still do occasionally say it
And we're
a
still
little
keeping
too
track.
often. Yeah, see, and with that, the characters are now, and I would do that
Yeah.
to death for a while. Um, but that's how we improve. Is I'm lucky enough to get video feedback loops on that
Yeah.
and see what am I doing well, and I also look at that too, like, hey, hey, there's not everything is about me being a total, mess up on screen. Uh, and I know nobody out there is watching me to watch us fail. So, thanks to the wonderful, audience that we've had in our shows who've been really great about talking and telling us everything. Um, we, hold on one second. Yeah, I'll answer that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get there.
That's a good question. The uh, the other thing is that I'll just say is I've also been able to watch other players, and what I find is players who watch themselves either by video, audio, or whatever, even if they're not streaming, uh, are either who are sincerely interested in improving whatever it is their hobby is, either how they paint or how they talk at the table for fantasy, how they make sure everybody gets the spotlight or whatever it is that they do, or even timing and voices or faces or whatever it is that they do for their hobby. They tend to improve, whereas people who just never look at that, they constantly never realize what it is that they can't fix or that they're doing.
Yeah, that
So
I know a
that's
couple
huge
people
for
who
us.
did a lot of people who were far better athletes than I, who would actually record their stuff, record their practices, record the games, depending on what sport it is that they do the sport of, uh, and they would basically falls into the category of, if I don't know what I'm doing wrong, if I don't know where I can improve, I don't know where to focus my efforts to improve. Uh, I don't know if anybody here actually knew this, but I used to be a competitive bagpipe player. that was a thing that I did. I had to record myself. I had to watch myself to make sure that what to make sure
Yet
that
another something I should not be surprised
yeah.
about, but is awesome about you, Mac.
Uh,
Absolutely.
so it's knowing what it is that I playing, because when you're in the hot seat and you're out there playing whatever it is that you're playing, 5 7 minutes go by and you walk away and you're either thinking that was great or that was garbage, and normally you're wrong, and the judge will tell you ever so hard. But the thing that matters there is getting the feedback from the judge is important because they're a professional and they've been doing this longer than I've been alive. But also being able to witness it firsthand, how my turtlers were awful, my throw on Ds were garbage, I was crunching the high notes. Being able to see, okay, this is what I was doing, I was rushing, I was dragging, blah blah blah. See it firsthand. You step out, you don't watch it immediately when you get off the field, but you give it a couple days, you watch it and be like, okay, this is what I did wrong, this is how I can improve, this is where I need to improve to not get last in class again, etc., etc. And
I'd
yes, my
also
neighbors
like
do love
to.
me.
I'd also like to bring up that that's competitive situations versus just enjoying your hobby.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be competitive. I mean, if you are a competitive painter or a competitive gamer of some sort, and that's normal and natural in your hobby, great. But it's not necessarily that you're doing something wrong. It's just something that you want to change with the way you
yeah,
paint. You don't have to think that you're doing something wrong if you're reviewing any of that stuff. And then there's also something to bring up that I think we should just express right now before. So there's the hobby, which is what everybody exists, believes the hobby to be, and then there's my hobby and your hobby.
yeah.
Um, my hobby may be slightly varied and different from Mac's hobby, and Mac has his hobby that's definitely different from my hobby, and vice versa, and everybody else is out there too. So when we're referring to the hobby, we're talking very generically for the most part, and whatever that means for you is your hobby, and we're not going to tell you what it should or shouldn't be because frankly, we want everyone to enjoy the hobby regardless of whatever that is,
Yeah.
and just be a part of a bigger community.
Well, that does tie
But
nicely into the overall theme of every single episode we've ever done. Of what we're doing here is our experiences for how we hobby.
mhm, mhm.
Everything else, you hobby slightly differently than me. I know the guys who play Warma Hordes hobby differently than the guys who play Warhammer, hobby differently than the guys who play Saga and D&D. It doesn't matter. These are just our tips that you pick and choose what works for you. Try and do it. If you find yourself having problems, come back to the toolbox. See what advice you're hearing. Which I think probably one of the biggest things that we can have, the single most important thing you can have when it comes to fighting hobby funk, fighting hobby fatigue, is having a community. Being able to have people say, you know, come up and hey, these are my miniatures. Like, I'm not going to say those are garbage, but here's what you can do to improve. And slowly working your way through that. Or, oh, hey, we played a game together. That was a lot of fun. Have you thought about trying this next time? Or being able to have the different types of friendly critical feedback that you just don't get if you're just posting things, to your own Instagram and everyone's like, oh, this is either great or it's nothing. Actually being able to have a group of friends that you can get together with or get together with digitally and push that out and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing in a hobby of the week. People motivate each other. People love interacting with their friends, love being like, oh, hey, I'm loving your elf that you just painted up. Have you thought about trying, this type of dry brush paint, or have you thought about doing this kind of thing here? So, do you know, Reed, a place where someone could get into some very cool hobby talk? I am
Why, yes,
known for
I
my
do.
segues.
Why, yes, I do. If someone wants to put the invite for the Games Tavern Discord in the chat, you can come to the Games Tavern Discord. You can also find that on our Twitter. It's one of the pinned tweets on at the Games Tavern, all one word. We'd love to see you there. You can ask us questions on any subject. If we don't know the answer, we probably have somebody in the community there who definitely does. But that is a way to do it. And you can also seek out when it's available, your favorite local area game store.
Yep.
Highly recommend talking to the good people there. If it's a great community, phenomenal. Jump in, have a ball, take take advantage of it. Um, one of the toughest things for me is making sure I understand it's their hobby, not my hobby, in
Yeah.
terms of that stuff, and letting people just enjoy it.
Yeah,
I
we're going
did
to do
see a
an episode in the future on how how to interact and provide good critique. So we'll get into that.
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, I think that critiques usually come best when people actually ask for them.
yeah,
Otherwise, you're just some jerk complaining about their stuff. I think is most
yeah,
of the time how people take it. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. Doesn't mean I'm right. But it's just I think that critiques are taken best when people actually ask for it.
yeah. The
Uh,
formula I've seen that works kind of best for that is like, hey, this is I like this thing that you did with it. Pick a thing, and I like that thing. Have you thought about maybe try thinning your pants a little bit more next time? Great job. Keep it up. Good work. That
mhm,
put it in
mhm.
a nice critical sandwich of pat it with positive praise. But again, don't go out criticize. This is like if you brought your stuff to me, I'm like, hey, that's ugly. Uh,
Just remember that
yeah,
when Max tells you how great your stuff is, and then tells you what you can do, and then tells you great job.
yeah.
That's exactly what he just did to you. He
Well,
just gave you
that's
the
kind of the
attaboy sandwich.
yeah. Well, that's kind of the way that it's supposed to work on the internet. You get too many people who post something to like I'm in the Horus Heresy painting and modeling groups on Facebook, and some of them are like, hey, here's a model that I've spent hours on. I spent probably 3 weeks of paint time on this model, and someone's like, oh, why'd you finish it already? Okay, man, this is as good as I got. But it's like, hey, good job. I like your spear tip or whatever it is that you did here. Have you thought about doing this? Keep it up. Oh, okay, cool. You delivered the same message, but it's doesn't break my
Yeah,
heart.
when I worked for a game company, it was kind of funny because I was pretty good painter, but then you start walking around and you've got these Golden Demon Slayer sword winners who are just like walking the halls next to you, and they paint up something in 4 hours that literally won a Golden Demon,
Yeah,
and you're just like, what am I gonna? How am I gonna? I don't sweat that. I just ask them how they did it, and then if I learn one thing from that, I'm okay. I'm never gonna be so self conscious as to not ask how did you do that.
yeah. That's
And one of the things I found out about those guys working with them that was very interesting is that it didn't matter how good they were. Somebody brand new to the hobby, only painting for like 3 or 4 months, may have figured out a new way to do something. And I've watched the Golden Demon guys go, "How'd you do that? Can you show me how you did that?" And boom, they're showing them something new. So I guess it's an attitude of constant, never-ending learning.
yeah.
You can never know it all. Yeah.
There's no right way to do pretty much any of this stuff. Uh, so yeah, you can always have somebody show you something new. It's one of like Tiger Woods has a golf coach because he's always going to be needing to improve somehow. All professional athletes have a coach for their main skill, even if they're the best in the
Yeah.
world. Michael Jordan had a trainer because he needs somebody else out there to tell him, hey, maybe try this, maybe try that. You're not jumping from the peak of the key anymore, man. What's up? You getting old or whatever? I don't know. I didn't actually watch the Michael Jordan documentary. We're way off track here. Whew.
Not dire. Kick Up High had a good question. It was, do finances potentially
Right.
play a part in hobby lulls? And the answer is yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Be smart. Don't bankrupt yourself playing your hobby.
Yeah.
But also, you know, have an idea ahead of time before you make purchases. You can slow down, spot sales, do whatever it is you need to do for your hobby. Um, there's been quite a bit of, if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons right now, there's never been a better time to pick up stuff because everybody's trying to give uh, discounts for people stuck at home. So they're making sure that everybody has opportunities. They've been. I will tell you that I absolutely love, and I'll just say it. We're not sponsored by these people in any way, shape, or form, but I absolutely love what Discord has done to allow people to come together.
Yeah.
I absolutely love what D&D Beyond has done to allow people to come together.
Well, we're directly benefiting from both of these. This
Yeah,
chat. We're hosting it on Discord.
yeah,
We
we
use
are.
D&D Beyond for our games. They are fantastic. What they're
They're
coming out
huge.
with is
Huge.
great.
Wizards of the Coast has released some stuff for everybody to use. I've even seen the Army Painter.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of great stuff with hobby challenges to keep people excited and cheerful during these times. And I can't, you don't have to have, what's going on in the world to do these kinds of things, but they are. And so why not take advantage of them if you can?
Yeah.
Never been a better time to do that. Never been a better
Yeah.
time.
as much as I keep, I know I've said several times, this is the golden age of Dungeons and Dragons and role playing games because fifth edition is so approachable. Right now is the pinnacle of that, from what I can tell, to be getting into the hobby and trying to run stuff because there's so much of stuff that's available right now for free. And I don't see that going away. I don't see that some of the individual content will move, but the accessibility and the innovation that's happening right now to allow people to continue to get together even when they can't is going to be sticking around. We're learning a lot of stuff here.
Mr. Smithwick just mentioned that Reaper's been putting together stay-at-home and paint boxes. Thank you, Reaper. That's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah.
More people should talk about that.
Yeah, and that's one of the if you're looking for, I'm going to plug them because I've spent enough money and time painting Reaper miniatures. They're fantastic. If you like the older style of mini, you don't necessarily want the Nullzor's art style. Reaper's where you go. Their new Bones line is fantastic. They're old.
I like the Reaper Black.
Yeah, that's what it is. The Reaper Black Bones, I think, is what it is. Or it's whatever Bones transitioned into. The first ones had some technical problems, unfortunately. But the new Reaper stuff that they're putting out in their new plastics are fantastic.
Everything that's been out has been fantastic.
Yeah, it's
what
solid.
I've been dealing with lately. The last miniature I painted, I think, that I put on the Discord, the community Discord, was the Reaper Black miniature.
Yeah, Bones Black. That was specific.
Yeah. The plastic's a much more dense plastic. It holds a lot more detail, I think.
Yeah, it's a stiffer. It's good. Yeah. I have somewhere over there because I never actually cleaned up after my last in-person session 3 months ago.
It's still on the table.
Yeah, it's still on the table where I have the generations of owlbears.
It's a memorial.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, I think that campaign's dead, which is sad, but whatever. I'll run it for somebody else. But I have like 4 or 5 different versions of owlbears. I have the current Nullzor's owlbear, and then I think I have 2 Reaper owlbears, and then I have the Bones versions of them, and it's great. And I'm just so happy about it. But that's no pond. They're actually they're real owlbears hanging out in my area. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Secretly, our entire stream and when you give to us, your stream dollars produce and help owlbears in their natural habitat,
which is
of Mac's home.
Yeah, apparently my condo.
Now, admittedly, they destroyed the neighbor's condo twice, just rampaging through to find the delicious treats that they left in the sink. But nonetheless, your dollars give and support owlbear habitats. Please give. Make sure the owlbears live. Okay, now back to reality.
Yeah.
There's a couple other things to avoid burnout, and one is setting some boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
So we talk about scheduling and stuff like that. So boundaries. So it's like this.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat. I can just stop doing that. This is.
Oh yeah, let's go in the arms of an. Oh goodness gracious! I love our chat people. Yeah, they're the best. I'll say there's a couple things you want to do. One, it's learn to say no. That can be a tough one for some people who are really big on what I call they're the hobby facilitators. I'm one of those guys too. I don't even have to play at the game, but I can facilitate like 3 or 4 tables of a giant war game, or set up a large multiplayer group campaign, like an epic kind of thing between players and Dungeons & Dragons, where different people's stories interact with each other in the same world. All those kinds of things, and I've helped create a much bigger thing for everyone else, and that's what can also be my hobby. Right? However, if you're asked to just DM just one more game that's past your limit, if you're asked over and over again by someone who paint a miniature for them to help them out, it's okay to say no. Like, they can't, if they get mad at you, they're really jerks, because if you're already DMing like more than one game, you're already a hero. You're already putting forth way more than anyone would ever expect. And then if you're painting miniatures for someone else ever, you're doing them a favor. You don't owe them anything. If anything, they owe you. So just be aware of those kinds of things, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to help people out if you're into that and that's your thing. Like I said, I'm a hobby facilitator. Most of the miniatures I'm painting are for everyone else's enjoyment in the games that we're playing, and hopefully for the stream as well right now. So the other thing is, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say on that point, it's as a DM, as a gamer, it's important to know when, even if it's not someone else is coming up and, approaching me, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? It's like, oh, I have another idea. It's a good idea to know when to say no to yourself on that point. It's very, very easy to say, hey, I'm going to run a different campaign every single day of the week.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. I can
Yeah.
run two, and that's one of them is going to be phoned in. And by phoned in, I mean it's off the shelf there. Yeah, don't
Well,
know when you have to step back and say, hey, my plate is full. Know how big your plate is, and whether it's someone else says, hey, can you do this, or you coming up with a brilliant idea, know when to put things on the back burner and work with that later. Um, Everyone here's here to have a good time. No one wants to run you ragged just because they want to do their thing or because you want to do a thing.
absolutely. The other thing I'll mention is to avoid, burnout or fatigue is there's people. There's not people. Well, they are people. They're things I'll call hobby wreckers.
Uh,
So these are the people who, through their comments or their actions, wreck your hobby. So as as you mentioned, critiques and stuff like that too. There's negative people who disparage your hobby. They may say things like, that sucks, or why would you paint it green instead of purple, or I can't believe you did that. And then there's undependable people who take and take and take and never give back. And these are the people who don't show up consistently for games when they're scheduled and everybody else says it, and they give you no notice that they're not going to make it there, or they constantly ask you to do something for them, but they never actually like give back in some way. Not that there should be an expectation of it, but there is a point where people are greedy and they're taking and they're not giving back in some way. And good relationships should have a back and forth. Uh, these can be people that you know personally, whether they're friends, foes, colleagues, people you barely know at all, people you just met yesterday, whatever.
yeah.
And these can also be people in social media or hobby forums or whatever it is. And uh, sometimes they're the worst because people get internet courage when they know they're not going to have to speak in front of someone's face to face, and they say things that they would never say to a human being in public.
Yeah, the internet is simultaneously amazing and awful for creative
Oh,
work.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, it's a beautiful, gorgeous dumpster fire of technology.
that ties into having a good community, I think, because if you have a lot of people, if your group is cool, whatever cool is for you, if you're happy with your group and you can take feedback from them, no one's gonna ever, I have brought some minis that I painted, like, hey, here you go, check this out. I'm like, God, dude, that's kind of garbage, man. Like, what are you playing at? But that's my group of friends, and frankly, I needed to hear that because it's like, oh yeah, oh, this new paint didn't work out the way I thought it was, and I was blinded by the effort I'd put into it. But in general, every store that I've spent a significant amount of time on, there's that one guy in the corner that everyone knows don't show your stuff to him because he'll just be like, yeah, whatever, it was better 2 editions ago, or nah, that's garbage painting, or why are you even playing this game? It's like, yeah,
Grumpy old gamer guy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
just don't talk to that guy. Like, avoid that. Try. I don't want to say get yourself into a positive feedback loop, but surround yourself with people who also care enough about you as a person, other than just you're a single photo of a miniature and be like, oh no, that's good, that's bad, whatever. Never have to deal with the consequences of this fallout.
And
And
there's
yeah,
something to be said about, that the positivity side grows the hobby because
yeah,
other people get excited about it too. And growing the hobby should be something we always encourage people to do. It's good for everybody.
yeah,
And then the other thing we should encourage people is whatever it is, find your bliss. If your game is a certain way, go find your bliss, man. There's
hmm
there's plenty of other people I'm sure who will enjoy that same bliss somewhere. What I'll say about social media is if somebody's continually negative, just mute them,
yeah.
or stop,
Click
stop
the
following
block
them,
button on
block
your heart.
them. Yeah, whatever you need to do to enjoy your hobby and not let people who are just mega jerks about everything continue to trample on your bliss,
Yeah, this is supposed to
whatever
be
that is.
fun. This is how we
Exactly.
escape from the world. This is how we get away from the horribles of reality, whatever that is, and go on epic adventures. Like, if you're not getting that, change something. Easiest one is stop talking to, creepy guy over there, Larry, who says that your stuff is garbage and you're doing it wrong. That said, we have some
Why's it
advice.
gotta be named Larry? Okay. 2 editions ago sounds like someone we know. Yeah, that sounds like Mac.
For what it's worth, my arguments are all like 3 or 4 editions ago. Okay.
Wow. I gotta apparently make an adjustment to the stream element spot because it's just going crazy on one particular thing. Uh,
Uh,
sorry about that, guys.
so we've talked about a bunch of different ways to sort of build a healthy hobby ecosystem. Yeah, there we go. Ecology, whatever. Make yourself prepared to have a healthy hobby experience. That's taking care of getting yourself in a ritual so that when you go to hobby at your dedicated spot on your certain days of the week that you've pre-planned out to handle your small chunks of your projects. All of this kind of stuff, avoiding the people who are going to rain down on your parade. Knowing where to go for positive feedback, knowing how to talk to your community and get good stuff out of that will help to keep your engine running longer to avoid hobby fatigue. But it's all gone horribly wrong. We don't have it anymore. You have gotten burnt out. You can't pick up a paintbrush. You are willing to just sell all your Dungeons and Dragons stuff and go pick up BattleTech. What do you do? How do you, before you cross that bridge and burn it behind you, what do you do? What are your options there to try and salvage something you used to love?
So, how long have you been in the hobby now, Mac? It's not that this is not a comparison to say
Yeah.
I'm a older, sawed-off gamer than you are, but how long have you been in it?
Uh, Actively doing role playing games 15 plus years. So a while, but tell me to get off your lawn.
Well, no. So, have you burned out on anything yet?
Oh yeah, I have a closet of burnout rejections and things that I will never get back to because I stopped loving it.
Well, never say never because it's still in your closet, and that's a good sign. So, I'll say if you really do have hobby burnout, the first thing you need to do is just identify. I think I've got hobby burnout, whatever that
Yeah,
portion of the hobby is. I think I'm burned out on this for a while. You may not be fully burned out, but by saying, "Hey, I think I am," identifying it and admitting it is the first thing that will help you go, "Okay, now what do I do next?" Take a step back is the first thing I'll do. Take a step
yeah,
back and go, "Okay,
and that's
what
key to the
happened
self-reflexive loop that we were talking about.
exactly? What
Paying
got me
attention.
here?" Yeah, and I would very much, encourage anyone to do that to take a week or two to just think about that
Yeah,
and not hobby. Just think about where am I going? What am I doing? And before you sell off your collections, get out of that routine that you set. But we talked about earlier, if that routine's not working for you, perhaps maybe the way the routine it is, maybe it's the, the time and the date, perhaps it's the amount of time that you're putting in versus the return on satisfaction. Perhaps it's become an unhealthy escape in some cases. That's happened too. Although I
yeah,
would never encourage that for people who are true hobbyists. Not kidding. But there are people who need to, sometimes take a step back and get to a point where it's now a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy one.
yeah.
Um,
One of the biggest things I can recommend on that point, if you have been playing, you play Warhammer 40,000, and the tournament scene is grinding and you're hating it, play a friendly game. Go, call your friend and be
what a
like, hey,
narrative.
yeah, go to narrative. Go to something that's not just trying to smear your opponent across the table. Do something different that's still vaguely hobby related. If you're normally the DM and you're like, I can't do another session of this. Okay, hey, go play a one shot. Have someone else write your character. Sit on the other side of the screen and blow off some steam. That
Yeah. Or
simple
go into that
perspective
room
change.
and discover it's the blender trap as Mac puts it together for me.
Yeah, no, you guys are. It's gonna be great. It's all just a whole bunch of those will it blend blenders. It's gonna be, well, will Rogue blend? Yes.
Yes, Rogue will blend. So,
Yeah,
generally speaking, that stepping back and finding some zen per se is a good first step. Then, after you've done that, if you ask yourself, I think the best way I put this is if I was in the hobby, ask yourself if you're in the hobby now for the reasons that you started in the first place. Like
yeah,
what changed? Ask yourself that. What has changed? was that change for the better or was it for the worse? And then if not for the better, what needs to change to bring it back to fun? If
Yeah.
that's possible. And you need to think about that too. And I think more often than not, it is possible because we are creatures of habit. And there are things that we just inherently enjoy. I've come back to Games Workshop, Warhammer 40,000, and Warhammer more times than I can count, and I've enjoyed it each and every time. I've really enjoyed coming back to Dungeons and Dragons in the last 4 years, 5 years,
Hmm.
and finding the legacy that it is, and the renaissance that it is of a system that
Yeah.
has just really, really made it very easy to not only bring new people in, but keep them going and excited for a long time to come. Um, and then I would say that if you need new boundaries, set them, stick to them, and keep the hobby your hobby, and don't let other people break down those barriers or protect those barriers to also protect whatever else you set those barriers for in the first place. And then lastly, if you've truly burned out and you're asking yourself these questions, understand that it's probably going to take you 6 to 12 months or longer to rebound.
Yeah.
It can be like, a broken bone. It can take a little while to mend, and that's okay. Go slow, change it, try some different things. Um, I don't know that I would sell my Dungeons and Dragons collection to start BattleTech. I would just start BattleTech and not sell off my D&D collection just
Yeah.
because. And by the way, if you know Jeff from the Belkin Weave, he plays Rinian. He would love to play you some BattleTech, no matter
Oh
where, no
no,
matter how long.
that's why I was kicking the BattleTech
Oh yeah,
can. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not a fan of the
I
system
hope he I hope
myself.
he sees this and he
Yeah,
kicks you later. But
I've heard great things about the current edition, but I have enough on my
oh
plate. I'm
wow,
saying no to myself.
Pond Plays just gifted tier 1 gift subs.
Oh, thank you so much,
Uh,
Carly.
Thank you so much. Um, Fantastic day for that. And I think that really covers down a lot of what we had intended to talk about. This actually went smoother than I thought it
Yeah.
would. Um,
Well, now's a great opportunity to kick it. We still have some notes we can go over, but now's a
mhm.
great opportunity to kick it out to the chat out there. Do you all have any tips or tricks or questions about dealing with hobby burnout? There's a wide community out there that's done a bunch of different things. Do you ever have any? How are you getting yourself out of this funk? Or are you facing something like that? Are you staring this down the barrel like, ooh, I could feel myself starting to get a little fed up with this thing or that thing? Let us know in the comment. I don't know where it is, so somewhere, I'm not going to gesture. It's somewhere on your screen. Let us know in the comments how you guys are dealing with this, or if you want us to talk about your specific problem or answer a question. Uh,
Should be
oh, here we
fun.
go. Pond plays. How do you handle it when you have players who are overexcited and get pushy?
I have them drink because booze is a natural depressant, and no, I'm kidding.
Just
Tranquilizer
blackjack.
guns,
Yeah.
tranquilizer guns.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
yeah, more less
yeah.
analog version. It depends on the situation there. Unfortunately, it's very specific because overexcited and pushy can manifest itself in a whole bunch of different ways. Um, I'll personally try a try and true method that I go with that is pull them aside afterwards and talk to them. Uh, Talking to your players is easily talking to players out of game and have it be very clearly out of game. It can be something like, "Hey, Reed, can you stay after once cameras stop rolling? I just want to have a chat real fast." And then we address how what it is that he's doing that's stepping on other players. Okay, you can have that conversation. If they're not picking up hints there, start looking at how it is that you're parsing out screen time for individual players or individual characters. Be like, okay, I have 5 players at my table. Ideally, everybody gets at least 10 to 20% of screen time. 10% absolute minimum. Sometimes not everybody's going to be the star every session. But you try and have everybody having 10-15% every session, and then you can play around a little bit more with the other people, depending, again, on numbers that you have. And then try and rigidly enforce that. Having those numbers, having that rigid skeleton allows you to, when you bring up to your problem player again, be like, hey, I get that you're having a great time. I'm super excited that you're excited to be here and having a grand time. But we do have other players at the table. Uh, so here's my logic in not giving you this, the letting you run away with it. This is what I'm thinking. This is what is going on here. I would truly appreciate it if you help me to make this a good experience, not just for you but for everybody else. And when you get them on board like that, as opposed to just saying, you're taking up all the time, this is bad. I find that kind of thing, asking them to help you, sort of gives you a nice. People are more receptive to that. I don't know the specifics on your situation, so that's as specific an answer as I can give you. What else we got going on in the chat there? Kick Up High is just a good person.
Driven to do tasks for someone
yeah.
else. I think someone else mentioned Nina. Was it Nina? Was it
Well, she needs to paint the
Dire
map.
Rabbit? Dire Rabbit mentioned specifically about accountability with someone else to
Yeah,
accomplish their hobby tasks.
that
And I
ties
think
into
that
the community really
what
well.
Kick Up High mentioned also is driven to do tasks because of others. I need to finish this painting for someone, or sew this for that person. Easily guilted, but also know doing it and being done will feel 100% feel fantastic. Kick Up High, you are so right. And I tell you, when you come over and help me with my landscaping, or help me paint all of the goblins that we need to get done, it's going to feel awesome for you. So feel free to come over. Oh, wait. Go paint Max owlbears as well. He's got a herd.
There's
the owlbear
a big
conservatory.
white spot behind me that is going to be filled with rotating owlbear paintings, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. Beer and pizza. Yes, absolutely. Beer and pizza will make all the impact to the owlbear conservatory and paint-a-thon.
Yeah, it's going to be solid.
Actually, we should do a mini paint show where we have you on as an owlbear painting guest.
Yeah, I can put on my protective owlbear suit and just make sure, big thick gloves, make sure they don't bite me.
Yeah, because they really don't like it when you paint them.
No, it's awful. I don't even have them. Yes, it's true. So yeah, a couple other things. Yes, I don't know if everyone should see this. Beer and pizza is a fantastic way to, to break it, to have a break session and be like, hey, tonight, yes, we were scheduled to have a full session, but we're not going to be able to. You're having a problem at the table, or everyone's just kind of hectic, or just you're having it's not gelling well. You can take a break, have everybody still get together, and instead just have a pizza party. Pizza, beer, a la carte. Maybe run a one shot, maybe in a completely different system. Sort of do a palate cleanser after a particularly tough scene, or a couple player deaths, or whatever it is that you want to talk about, whatever it is that's kind of gumming up the gears. Pausing a campaign, much like you would pause other aspects of your hobby, for even if it's a single session, just to sort of pump the brakes and let everyone cool, have a good time, whether you're playing a different game or just having a social hour. That can actually serve quite a lot of.
But we've done that.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Cooking in-game sessions. Yeah, I try to have some kind of food at all of my whenever I'm hosting, or when I'm running games, or even when I'm playing at games. I try to bring something. Not so much recently with the stuff that's been going on in the tavern, but
be a hobby hero. Don't make the DM make the food.
Yeah. That said, when I DM, my fridge is open, so come on by. Everyone out playing in the Tomb of Horrors, you are welcome to a beer out of my fridge this weekend. Cheers.
Yeah. Such a giver.
So one of the big points that I know we keep touching back on this is the community. This is not a solo hobby. This is not something that we do in a vacuum. We do it ostensibly to play games with other players, or to show things to other players, or to run fun games for other people. Talk to them. If you're having a problem, if you're having an issue, if there's something not quite gelling right, personally with your hobby, reach out, talk to someone, be like, hey, what is it? I'm thinking about doing this kind of thing, but I'm not sure about it, or I don't really have the time, or I'm not really feeling it. What's up with you? even if it's just me talking to Reed and be like, hey, yeah, this is the thing I'm doing. I'm thinking about running Tomb of Horrors. I don't know how much time I have, but whatever. I think it'll be good. I want to run something else, or I want to run a one shot. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of time. He could direct me toward going to Tomb of Horrors as opposed to bang out my own thing. Uh, or you can actually find inspiration in other players. Uh, Mr. Smithwick does a whole lot of minis painting. He posts a lot of stuff in our Discord channel. Recently, he posted a giant
The
catfish.
catfish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was amazing. And I immediately mocked it with that stupid big mouth Billy Bass thing on the plaque. But it was
Because
great because I'm me.
you're
Yeah,
you're a hobby champion, helping
yeah,
other people feel encouraged about their hobby.
yeah. That's
Right.
the goal. But it looks amazing. Seeing him painting stuff is I don't want to say it guilts me to be like, ooh, I need to paint something else myself. But it's sort of like, all right, he's doing this. He's finding the time. I know his schedule's hectic. He also works. Sure, yeah, I can find time to finish out this unit of orcs. I can finish the time uh, to do this or that thing that's been he doesn't. I can I can find the time to do all these things. He can find it. I can find it. Like there's no way around that. You know, we're all have this.
Is when are the cast of TVW and WMD going to dress up as their characters on stream?
Uh,
Well, being an all-powerful dungeon master is kind of hard to dress up as, but I'll do
do you
my
not have
best.
the wizard robes with the backlight and all that? Because like I
Well,
can lend
actually,
you.
I do.
Yeah,
I
it's like I
do.
can lend you mine.
Uh,
Like
I have my rogue outfits. I've got this the cool dude who should have been at the club, but probably would look awkward at the club these days. Shirt on.
you
Uh,
look like you want to sell me a
mm,
boat.
mm, 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 mm. No, I want to sell you a volcano with this shirt.
Sold.
Yeah.
Uh,
So DM to DM chat between you two a conflict of interest.
no,
Only if we tell each other what's going on in each other's campaigns. I don't really know what's going to happen in Mac's campaign, and I can tell you Mac certainly doesn't know what's going to happen.
yeah, there's a there's a couple ways to be able to approach that problem. Uh, if you have DMs that aren't playing in each other's campaigns, you can just completely spill the beans like, hey, these are the things that are going on. What are you guys thinking? Without that, Reed or I can still come to the other one and be like, hey, this is the problem that I'm having. Perfect example with Tomb of Horrors. There's a trap in there that is very 1970s. Uh, I didn't like it. I didn't feel comfortable with it. It did some changes to players and PCs that it's like, that's not really. It's a weird, didn't age well joke. So I've changed it. They haven't stumbled on that trap yet, but I poked around a couple of them on somewhere on the Discord, being like, hey, how do you guys recommend changing traps? How do you guys recommend poking around a little bit on this? I tried to couch it a little bit because I didn't know who was actually going to end up playing on this campaign. I mean, one shot. But
So knowing him, it's just been turned into a Willet blend,
oh, it is. No, it's
a giant blender.
I got some good advice on it. I talked to a couple other DMs on other channels just to see how they would recommend doing it, and there seems to be a pretty good consensus on how to do it, other than having to pause and be like, "Hey, so this trap is a product of its time." It's like, yeah, this isn't an old Looney Tunes cartoon. We don't need to do that. Uh, so I did talk to other DMs, especially since the ones that aren't playing, I can go into the details, say, "Hey, it's this trap at this point in this room." How, how are you guys making this comfortable for your players? Because it's an uncomfortable trap. And I got some really, really good responses. None of those people, as far as I know, are playing in my campaign. Uh, Beyond that, I did talk to talk to Reed a little bit about how to just mainly how to mechanically work stuff for the putting things onto the stream, because he does this a lot more than I do. This is I push two buttons and let happy hour go. There's a lot more involvement for getting things going for a stream for an actual live play.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, oh
but yeah, it's not a
yeah.
conflict of interest, and any DM worth his salt or her salt is going to be able to be like, hey, I recognize that's a problem. Give me a little bit more information. Even if I'm playing in the campaign, I can compartmentalize and not metagame that. I won't be the guy who solves this problem.
Yeah, to be also fair, and to kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit, we we have several DMs, but we also have a few DMs who do not stream, and they help us with some behind the scenes stuff occasionally as well.
Yeah.
And if we find someone who's a really good DM, we may let them behind the curtain a little bit as well to help us with some of the stuff. We don't script anything that we do on the shows. That's a very important distinction. Everything is improv. The only thing that is not improv is whatever the DM has in terms of like the overarching scheme of what he's doing, but he's the only one who knows that. So he's kind of like the ringleader
But even then,
and
he
still
keeps
has
your
to
plants in the
improv.
toilet.
Well, yeah, you have. I mean, like, but when we were all playing before we went on stream, you definitely were like, you'd have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm. I still have fun doing it. I know.
Yeah. Well, you think you do. You have the illusion of choice.
Yeah. But that's a really good point. All of our play sessions are true play sessions. They're live plays. We are actually playing this game. Mind you, when
if
I'm
we
running
weren't having fun doing it, it would be work, and then we would burn out.
Yeah.
See, I brought that back.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, I'm running a published adventure. I know that you and a couple other people have seen the Tomb of Horrors sometime in the past 45 years. So I'm trusting them to not metagame the things that are going on in it. Just because if it's like, hey, I know the answer to every single room in this thing, well, that's no fun. Like, I'm not going to play that. So everybody out there knows how to. If you're an experienced DM, you're like, hey, I ran this a while ago. I'm not going to be playing the lead on this. I'm not going to be the one that's like, ooh, we come up to the door that asks us questions about only lying or telling the truth. I know the answer. No, my character doesn't. I'm going to step back. I'm going to let that happen.
For the people asking when we will dress up as our characters on stream, when we get 50 viewers on stream, at least one of the shows will dress up in costume.
Do you know how long it takes to weave a dwarven beard man?
You figure it out, bro.
I have
50
several
viewers,
times.
That will be a special show for the fans.
Okay.
50 viewers are on at the same time, which shouldn't be that hard to do, actually, in the next couple of weeks, actually. We've got a great expanding hobby community that's just,
yeah.
I mean, it's been phenomenal. I can't believe how encouraging it's been. And then, hey, we just got another question here from Dire Rabbit.
It's a good one. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
So if money was no issue, what would your ideal tabletop roleplay game / hobby setup look like? Reed, I'm going to let you take point on this. What do you got, Mr. I have all the money in the world now? What do you have?
I wouldn't say that, but
no. For this situation, you've been given a blank check for a hobby room.
So there's a giant medieval tavern bar situation I've seen pictures of that are phenomenal. Shields on the walls, big thick timber tables, all that stuff, plus all the lighting, smart lighting, and sound effects for 3D sound that I could possibly desire. The big thing that a lot of people do is they want to do all these different things around them, but if it doesn't add to the immersion, it becomes a distraction.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. So like when we started doing streaming, for example, we did a lot of pre-checks before we were actually putting certain things on stream, both in the studio, and now we're trying to figure out a lot of things remotely to figure out how to make it work. And what I wouldn't do is something that's a giant distraction. Or unsafe for that. But yeah, and then it would have, besides sound and lights, I'd probably have a full-size dragon we could fight in the back, just for practice, like a danger room.
Yeah. Well, you can't. I don't know if they still make them, but Wizard of the Coast a few years ago was making those like dragon head and elithid head plaques.
Yeah, I would build life-size ones that we could beat.
Oh no, they were life-size. Like it was. I had one.
Yeah, not just a plaque, like an actual elithid.
Good lord.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a dude.
I would. I mean, money's no object. I could have them genetically engineered at that point, and just because.
Please don't.
A la Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, dude. I mean, like, we'll feed it. You
might have forgotten the lesson of Jurassic Park.
Well, that's why we beat it all to death. I mean, it's fantasy, right? So.
Yeah, gotcha.
I mean, they don't have souls. Would it be like Joe Manganiello's basement? It would be better because it would be fully stocked with all the drinks that you could possibly want, because it's actually, I think, a wine cellar of a super nature. But the dragon in the back would definitely be exciting.
Yeah.
In addition to that, multiple flat screens, curtains, ambiance,
Well, I've
and
seen
enough
that.
room for 20 people to play 10 different games.
Have you seen those tables that have like the recessed television in it underneath a sheet of Lexan? I think that's a really
Yeah,
cool piece of technology. I would invest to make a good version of that.
there's a heat issue that can sometimes happen. But we
Yeah.
may actually wind up doing some how-to videos later on in the.
Oh.
We'll see how next year looks, but we'll do some how-to videos. Like you've seen the long table that
Yeah.
I built, so we can show you how to build a super long table for your D&D games. We can show you how to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not hard to do
Well, there's a
once you know
couple.
the tricks.
There's a couple companies out there right now that are putting out uh, like bespoke gaming tables with like
Hmm.
recessed gaming surface and all that, and they run anywhere from, for a full size 6x4, about $1,000 to prices in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'd probably put one of those in for mine. Make it so I can have a nice dining room table also and all that. But then otherwise, my area would just be decked out to with tutoring and stonework and make my entire area look like it will basically look like Bugman's. That's that's where I want to game.
I think the mortar in between all the stones of mine would be made of the souls of my enemies mixed in.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, there we go. We got a couple of companies, and there's so many more. Uh,
Tiger print onesie, yes. Tiger print onesies for everyone. I agree.
See, I can't wear onesies because I'm 6'3", so I have to cut out the feet and the crotch. So that's just
I'm sure we can get a big and tall onesie
big.
for you.
Oh, just with all the it's a flying squirrel suit.
Challenge accepted. I think we're gonna buy Mac a onesie.
No, please
It'll
don't.
be
Oh my
our
god.
choice. We may have a poll of which onesie we're gonna buy him, and if we do this poll, he will have to wear it on stream.
Why is it?
However, that means that
Why
he
is
can
this
also
how we're
trade a
spending
poll
our
for.
hard-earned money? Like, how is this a
I,
profitable adventure?
I don't know that it's profitable. It sure is entertaining, and I don't know about you, but I'll pay money to see Mac on stream in a onesie.
I'm frantically going through the chat looking for a question.
I'm looking for an owlbear onesie. It makes you look like you've been eaten by an owlbear. It'll be beautiful, beautiful thing.
Oh, here we go. We got one. A good friend of mine sometimes gets frustrated about driving to another state to play D&D. He changes it up with outfits and dice each time to spice it up. Yeah, you can. Those simple changes of playing with a different dice set or playing with. For me, it's playing with a different accent. Surprise! I don't actually have a thick dwarven accent. I don't know if you've not been paying attention. Yeah, right.
I thought all
Yeah.
Mackenzies
Yeah.
had a thick dwarven accent, Mac.
So it's yeah. I don't have that kind of thing. Being able to do that it helps me to detach from whatever problems Mac is having, and moving it to hey no these are the Adgerns, these are the characters' problems. That's
All
why
Macintoshes,
yeah. So
all Macs McDougal's.
there's a few. There's McLeod, which is just garbage yellow, and actually it's irritating to look at. Anyway, so doing some things that will actually play me out or pull me out of my own way. If I'm in a funk going into WMD, that might be the
Never gonna
session.
happen. Never gonna
It
happen.
has happened several times
Never
where
happened.
the week was
Never.
bad, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go in. I want to do this. It's going to be a fun time. If there's a session where everything's coming out in Adgern's voice, yeah, it could have been that I had a bad week, and I'm just, what, let's just escape into that, and being able to, jump, I don't jump personalities, I guess.
There's no
Help.
bad days on WMD.
No, it's usually the palate cleanser of the week.
Mhm.
Not to
We're like,
mention happy
so
hour.
you're saying that WMD is like the dried cracker of which streams? Is that what you're saying?
Sorbet. I would like the mint
Sorbet.
sorbet.
Sorbet,
Yeah.
mint sorbet. Yeah, fresh, tingly, exciting to see.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really brings something, energetic and fresh to the day. Yeah, I like that idea. That's good. I'm good with that.
So we have okay. Yeah. So Kick Up High is now because I made the mistake of telling her what exactly what
Diggy
my
diggy holes.
what my pump up music is to get into
Oh
the
yeah.
Adgerd mindset, and it is just Diggy Diggy Hole on repeat. It's that.
I remember when you put that in the Discord.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No. I'm serious. I played basically proto Adgerd in a LARP a few years ago. I had the big bushy beard and everything. And on
Did it catch fire?
No, it didn't because I made it out of wool, and wool doesn't burn. Uh, but so I had all of that stuff going on, and I would on my way up to the camp that we larped at, I would play Diggy Diggy Hole. Yes, it does smolder. So I try to avoid flame when I have it out, but it still doesn't. It doesn't ignite, which is kind of key when you're walking around with a lot of it. Uh, but yeah, I would listen to that as my pump up music, which ties nicely into some of the advice that we had before. Music is very very powerful in getting you into the right mindset for whatever you're doing. You're having a funky day. Well, don't go listen to Chopin's Prelude Number Four. Like that's not gonna get you out of that funk. If you're having a really good day and you want to mellow it out, I've listened to that to kind of cut me down and be like, all right, I could go for feeling sad right now. We can do that. But there was a few studies a few years ago, and a few years ago, I mean about 20 years ago at this point, where they took like Vietnam vets and they played the music that they would hear there, and first they talked to the guys about the war or whatever they did, and like yeah so this is what I did blah blah blah, and go through it in very specific detail. But then they would play the music of the whatever music they would hear on the radio. They would play that, and then that took them back way more than actually talking about it. Music taps into your brain into a weird sense, and you can hack that. You can be like, all right, if I always play Diggy Diggy Hole before I go out and pretend to be a dwarf, that gets me in the mood to pretend to be a dwarf. Or I'm gonna play Kashmir right before I hobby because that tells my brain it's hobby time is coming up. Do it. It's great ways to try and get yourself out of a funk. If you're having a problem, try that. Kick it and see if that if your usual pump up jams will pump you up. Try and get you into the hobby. You're not feeling the hobby? Play your hobby playlist and try. That might be enough to kickstart you. That felt rambly. Was that rambly on your end?
You know, you had a lot to say.
I did.
I think music is the biggest thing. That's huge. I think we've hit that nail pretty solid.
Yeah.
What's everybody listening to when they hobby? Love to see some of the audience statements on that one too.
Oh yeah, that's always a good one.
Yeah. Boom, mood lifted. See.
Yeah, music
Oh,
does
here we go.
great things. Oh, she's thinking.
Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting for them, what's on your hobby playlist? What are you listening to?
Ooh. I don't want to mention too many specifics. So there's two different ways I come to edit. So there's the Zen, smooth, quiet kind of style, and then there's the high beat intensity stuff. So it depends on what I'm doing. The research on studying and the type of music that helps you stay focused on studying
Yep.
is certain beat rates and no words, because words suck cognitive power because your brain, whether you're listening to it or not, still spends the time translating those sounds into language
Yep.
that you understand. That being said, so a lot of what I listen to lately has been electro swing when I'm doing
I'm glad I'm not the
solo.
only one this century listening to electro swing.
Oh, dude, it's absolutely amazing. Huge, big fan of it. I'm a big fan of uh, swing in general, but I also enjoy certain quiet songs as well.
Yeah.
There's a couple different channels on like the different music things, like Spotify and Pandora. You can just find some quiet stuff that's got some zen. And then sometimes, strangely enough, and this is not anything that we're getting paid to say. To be clear, I listen to Tabletop Audio. They've got oh my mic. They've got a wide range of music that I can set the mood and the tone for what I'm working on or what I'm writing about or what I'm painting, and that's the music that's going to play in the background looping for me.
Yeah, tabletop audio is fantastic for that.
Oh yeah,
They're
phenomenal.
I believe it's because everything that they've built is designed to be non-obtrusive background noise.
Mhm.
So it's not going to have anything that's singing lyrics or great cymbal crashes that are going to jar you out of it. There are some upbeat, more tempo combat songs, but a lot of it is just
Definitely.
yeah, it's all environmental stuff. for that same reason, I actually listen to a lot of video game music. Like the Skyrim soundtrack, it's been on my YouTube playlist for quite a while now. It's epic and it sounds like fantasy. That's all of
You can
that.
ask the Alexa app to play that stuff for you
Yeah,
too. Just say, I want fantasy music or play blah 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 soundtrack.
yeah. All of that is really good stuff. One of the reasons I actually
Mhm.
do like the playing the video game music though, is because that's music that's designed to sort of Skinner box you into what you're doing.
Mhm.
Mind you, it was designed to get you, rewarded for playing the thing that focusing on the video game and keeping you playing the video game. But if you just take the video game out of it and you just listen to the music, you could do it for whatever task you're doing, and that kind of thing works really well. Conan the Barbarian soundtrack. Which Conan the Barbarian? The first movie, or which one are we talking about there, Mr. Smithwick? Diablo 3 music. Yeah, that's a lot of the Blizzard stuff has a lot of. Okay, original. Whew, very good, very good. Pon Plays is singing the Will Smith and polka. Uh,
Nothing beats Will Smith and polka mashups.
I
Let
don't
me
know if
tell
I
you,
do with a mashup or when I'm trying to be
getting
productive.
jiggy with it to the funky chicken.
Whoa, funky chick! Come on, man, that's not even good polka.
I didn't say it had to be good. I just said it had to mash up. And boy, does it mash.
I don't know who you are anymore. Okay, that's an hour and a half. Let's close out now.
Dropkick Murphys. Little Dropkick Murphys for you there.
Dropkick Murphys are actually when I in my backpiping days opened for the Dropkick
Yeah.
Murphys at the 930 Club. That was a solo
Did you
time.
really?
Yeah. There's
Oh
a photo
man,
of me somewhere around here doing that.
we'll have to get a picture of that and have a
Yeah.
conversation.
I
About this.
honestly don't even know where it is.
We'll have to flip the script here, and I'll have to interview you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll give you the rundown on that. We watched Fight Club in the green room. That was it. That was what we did.
That's awesome.
It was a fun time. But yeah, so is there any other outstanding business from the chat? Anything else you guys want us to cover before we disappear for a week? And by
Not a
week, I
week.
mean until tomorrow. For happy hour, directly engaging with the chat. One of the great things about this show is our ability to directly engage with the chat without having to break the stream. What, Mac? What? Yes. No, that happened. That's a story for another time. I'm not seeing. Oh, here we go. Is Reed gonna get a haircut?
Eventually, I'm not going to shave my own head unless you guys all decide that you want to do I guess a streamathon or some kind of thing that we do that where I'll just shave my head if we hit a certain metric.
I'm just shaving my head because I need a haircut.
Create a donation opportunity, but this thick, luxurious hair, it doesn't just appear for no reason. It's not going to disappear without meaning people.
We've got a challenge out there. 150 viewers, we shave your head.
I'll do it for 50 viewers, consistent, for 3 streams running
Here
in
we
a
go.
row.
75 viewers seems to be from R. Klein 1963. Seems to be.
I'll shave it for 50 in a row, 3 shows in a row.
Shaving for 50 for 3 shows in a row. All right then.
Done.
There we go.
Done. Make it happen, people.
Well, guys, I think that's we've devolved.
75? You guys really want to do this at 75? All right.
75 would just be
all
when we hit 75. It's happening, as opposed to consistent. So, can I promote that on social? Do it.
Everyone can promote that on social. Yeah, I mean, let's avoid me getting DM burnout. If you guys all punch in, you guys can talk about the memes are going to be amazing on this one.
The shape plan for homeless people for Switch. Oh my goodness.
Tombstone votes. I can just see it now. They have to be active viewers. Okay,
this is what we come in for.
Active viewers, not followers. Viewers.
Stop putting caveats on this.
Yeah, well, there's not good. Shoot, I just turned in and would pay $75.
Yeah,
75 viewers, people. 75 viewers. I will shave my head, or 3 shows with 50 viewers in succession. I will shave my head. That's a promise. Post it on social media. You can say that I said it. I'll make sure you put at the Games Tavern all over that. I will make sure it gets retweeted, reposted. Tell everybody I will do it. I will shave these thick, luxurious locks for you,
I was going to
the
say, someone better
community.
be clipping this because,
Even if they're not, I'm sure that somebody on the tech crew will highlight it so that they can
yeah.
punch this thing through every social media channel they could possibly do. Um, yeah, you guys, you slay me. But if you make it happen, I'll make it happen. I'll
Yep.
honor that commitment. Yeah,
I, however, I'm just going to shave my head tomorrow morning because why not?
because that's what bagpipers do.
No, I stopped playing. I'm not. Anyway, what's going on later this week with the Games Tavern? Vulcan Weave is tomorrow, right?
The Velkin Weave is tomorrow. I'm going to be actually in the background on that, working tech crew for them. I'm excited to see. I think they finished off in the orphanage, but they've had more. I think they have more questions now in the haunted orphanage than they have
Yeah,
answers for. So we'll
Haunted
see what happens.
Orphanage. Perfect combination of
Yeah,
words.
it was a very sinister show, if I recall.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how they're gonna resolve that.
Yeah,
And then
the
Thursday is us, Whiskey Magic and Destruction. We're
Whiskey
gonna
Magic and
do
Destruction
something
is.
else in Waterdeep probably,
I
and then
I think we last left off. You guys were in a library, and there was kind of a cliffhanger because you heard noises, and something's in the library probably at this point, or something is causing some sounds in the library.
yeah, Adgerd is
You
super
see,
useless right now, so I'm very happy about the
well,
restriction on elemental spells.
well,
I got the
I,
bricks though, and that's gonna
you got bricks. I can't wait to see what you do with those bricks.
oh, it's gonna be great. The brick spell is
And
broken.
then I don't think we have anything on Friday right now, but I know that Saturday we've got the triple shot, third shot
Yeah,
of
hopefully you guys can get through the Tomb of Horrors.
the Tomb of Horrors.
I
So
mean, you've already killed the Lich, so now you just need to go and steal all his stuff. So
yeah, which I mean, we've already got a zombie crew to go dig everything out because one of
yeah,
the players has a several zombies to leverage, which has been
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. That portable hole is weird, but it works.
It works. I mean, for keeping zombies.
It's cool. It's just the
Can't be good.
Griserian and WMD at the library. No, it's just the New York Public Library weird librarian ghost.
That's all I'm gonna say. Or
Uh,
not. We'll see.
what's gonna get out of
Uh,
this is Ghostbuster quotes.
no, not gonna say. As a matter of fact, it'll probably make it worse.
Challenge accepted. And
Wonder.
then next Monday we have another episode of That Many's Paint Show, and then well, you're painting anything good this week?
I have a stone creature that I'm gonna paint. So one, I
Ooh,
get a creature done, and two, I get to show how to do stone. And then at some point, I'm supposed to be doing some stuff in a future show on metallics and how to do metals.
that should be fun.
That
I'll
should be interesting. Yeah,
definitely tune in on that one. And then Tuesday we have another happy hour, and then the cycle starts again.
it renews.
It just
The
keeps
hobby
going. Yeah,
inspiration renews.
exactly. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Pond Plays, thank you so much for that gift sub. We couldn't do this without you guys. All of the fantastic chatter going on in the chat. And again, a shout out to Tabletop Audio because we use their audio. We're patrons of them because it's a high quality product.
And you
Uh,
should be too.
absolutely. Otherwise, we hope to see you guys.
Speaking of
Oh,
patrons,
right. Yeah, we have a
On
Patreon now.
Plays, thank you so much for becoming our latest Patreon patron. You can check out our Patreon at Patreon/The Games Tavern. There's 3 tiers. People in Patreon get behind the scenes access and some of the DM notes as well, so they can see what we're kind of really doing behind the scenes. Nothing that would create any spoilers, but you can see how we kind of put things together and built some of the encounters. And we try to basically create encounters that you can plug into your games as well. So we hope
Yeah.
you like it.
You know, why not? We'll include our. We can throw on the happy hour notes before we into that too, because hey, why not?
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to see our madman ramblings, right?
Yeah.
Is
Absolutely.
there a shaved head tier? No, not yet. Not yet.
But we're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working on it. Yeah. Shaved head tier. You join, everyone shaves their head. It's Great.
We need a. Can someone in the chat out there throw a link in there? I can't, unfortunately, because
For which thing?
for the Patreon, because we've put the Discord in there quite a few times. And definitely check out our Discord, guys. It's a great time. I'm on it far too many hours of the day talking to people. It's a fun app. It allows us to do hosting and streaming, and if you want to run a game, come talk to us. We can run games on the in the chat there with a great community that's eager and looking. I think we have people from Europe, and Europe is the most recent one that's looking for somebody. So that's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, you can't post links there, Kikapai. Sorry, you have to have special permission. But otherwise, yeah. Nightbot. I think that's just a Twitch thing.
That's
Here,
actually a Twitch thing. You actually
Yeah.
have to be, I think, a certain level before they do that. Yeah.
But thank you for the effort. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
So unless there's anything else from you guys in the chat, I think we're gonna go ahead and sign off. It's been over an hour and a half, and we have things to do. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and we hope to see you at any of our other fantastic shows this week. Remember, tune in tomorrow night, Velkin Weave at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here at twitch.tv/The Games Tavern. Yeah, because
Twitch.tv/The Games Tavern.
All right, and we'll see you guys hopefully on the Discord. So everyone have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.
Take care, guys.